Assalamu alaikum, students. I hope you're fine and enjoying the videos and learning a lot from these. So, today we are talking on the HTML forms, and up till now, in part number one till the last part, we have been doing static websites. And by static websites, I mean the data on those websites was being displayed to you. So, you were actually getting a copy of the data from the server, and that was being displayed in your browser. Your browser may be Safari, your browser may be Firefox, or it can be Microsoft Edge or Internet Explorer or anything, something. So these were all static websites. You were just getting a copy of the data, and you were all getting the contents displayed in front of you. Today, we are actually talking about a different kind of a website, which is based on the data going towards back to the server. And by server, I mean the computer which is actually hosting the website, or which is actually having that all the contents, the HTML files, the CSS files, and all that. So, this time today, we are actually going to talk about data being sent back from your browser, which means now that you are actually now going to send in your first name. Supposedly, if you are going to enter something, or you are actually going to have something, a last name added, I have just added my name, first name, and last name. And when you are going to actually submit this button, so of course, this is going to open. So you can see the submitted form data. This is actually from w3schools.com. So that's why it's actually giving you different. Otherwise, you can actually make this form and whatever data you are actually putting inside over there into some database. So there's just two entries over there. So this is one time of a website in which now this time you are actually going to upload some data. Many of you have heard that whenever you're talking about the internet and you're actually talking about the internet speed, you're always being told that, okay, this is the download speed, this is the download speed. Many many access points or many Wi-Fi providers or any mobile companies, they always tell you, okay, we are going to give you like 10 Mbps, 20 Mbps, or even some 1 Gbps over there. But never, no one talks about the uplinking, because uplinking means that now you are actually going to send data from your laptop, your computer, or your mobile to the server. And of course, the data here in our case, because we're actually going to have forms, and as you all know, whenever you are submitting a form for any university, any application, or for any job over there, or even you are putting some form submission for any Facebook account or Instagram account or maybe a Twitter account, you always have to put some data. All the companies, they want you to give your first name, last name, your age, your date, your qualification, your ID, your email address, and all that. And for that purpose, we are going to have these HTML forms. So in this HTML forms, I am again following this w3schools.com, which is a very magnificent website. So I hope this HTML forms over here, you can go through it. And today we are going to try to discuss this HTML forms, some of the form attributes from the form elements over there, and then some of the input types I will discuss it. And maybe in the next part, which will be a very small one, we will be discussing the remaining two, three links over there, or whatever that is not done in today's part over there. So whenever you're going to make a form, uh, one thing very, very important, you have to actually ask the user for an input. And those inputs have to come from either the mouse or the keyboard, or maybe a file, or maybe a voice or something. But of course, that will be something, a file over there. And that file can be a PDF if you are uploading something, your credentials, your qualifications, or something. Or if you are putting something picture, then it can be a JPEG image and PNG image or something like that. If you are submitting something for a university, you have to submit. So you have to actually input something. And that's why you are going to actually collect some user input over there. And for that purpose, whenever you want to make an HTML form, the very first thing you have to do it is the form tag, which means that you have to use the form tag, and anything which you want to input from the user has to be inside this form tag, FORM, and of course the starting tag and the ending tag. So we will be doing that. Acha, before we go on towards that, let me go back to our Visual Studio Code. My server is running over there. This was our part three, if you remember it. I will just open in front of you our website, which was in part four actually. So this was, my server is running over here, and then I have, this is actually the part four. Don't worry on this part three written over there. So I'm using that part 4 over there. So this is the part 4 in this video. So I've just copied this data, and I don't want all this data because you've done all this whatever stuff over there, the iframes and all that stuff over there. So today we are actually talking about a form. So I have taken this all contents and copied them inside the index dash part 7. And here, apart from that heading over there, which is actually the HTML course, AI students, and the navigation bar over there. So I'm just going to make this part 7, and I'm going to delete everything which is over here. So I'm just taking off all this data over there because it's getting a little lengthy over there. I just don't want that all to be happening over there. I'm just taking out everything which is inside this body. So I'm just going to save it, going back on my server again, sorry. And here this time I am going to have part 7. So let's see now what is remaining at part 7. So you can see now that you have the part 7 over there. So if I will scroll this website, this HTML course, this is actually a sticky point over there. So that is sticky. So if I'm going to scroll this one as we'll develop this one, so I'm going to put some form over there. So I'm going to put some form over there. This means that of course that form is going to be present over there. So I can have this one. So now whatever you are going to have it over there is going to be inside a form over there. And of course you want to take something, supposingly you want to take something, a data, and that data has to come as an input. So this means that this input is going to be either some text, some of selection of the elements, some maybe checkboxes, some radio buttons. I will little later on I will tell you what is the difference between a radio button and a checkbox button. But these are two things you can have in radio button. You can have many different options selected over there. For checkbox, you can have either zero or as many choices. That depends upon actually the JavaScript over there. We will discuss them most probably in the next part over there, but I will tell you the differences later on. Then you can have a submit button. As you all know, submit button means that if the form is there, you have written some data, now you want to submit that data towards the server. And by server, I mean this computer, which is maybe at some place in Dubai, somewhere in New York, somewhere in Holland, or somewhere else, and it's going to actually have all that data coming to you from your browser, and it's going to be. And there are many different types of the inputs. I will discuss them later on in the input types over there later on in the last part. But here I want to actually have a text input. So very importantly, I'm just going to take on like this. Just going to have this input over there. Let me just copy this input over there, and for the input over there, let me just sorry on this part, and I want to just add this input. So you can see now I'll just take out this branched line break over there. So you can see input starting type. Now why type is important? Because input can be of many different types. It can be a text, it can be a form, it can be uh, checkbox, it can be a radio button, it can be a date, it can be a number or something like that. So this type is very important. What are the list of the whole types? I will just tell you later on. So the type is important. Here I want just want to have a simple text. It can be an alphanumeric text over there. What should be the size of this text and what should be the length of this text, that you have to control by your JavaScript. We'll discuss them in the later half of the next video. And next thing, which is very important, you all know whenever you want to do some styling, so supposedly you want to make this input box where you can actually type something, so you need to give us something an ID. So that ID is over there. Remember, you can give a class as well, but again the class is going to be something very different. So you have to then copy the same class. But sometimes whenever you are typing, you want to change, okay, that whenever the consumer or the user is actually going to type in something inside this input field box, then you actually want that it goes in the caps lock automatically without the user changing it, the keyboard to the caps lock button on. So then you don't need to do the class, then you only need to do the ID. So then specifically ID can be done. I will show you in the next video that the user is inputting in small letters, but the data which is going to be input is going to be always in caps lock, and you can do that very easily by simple JavaScript function. And then the name, which is actually the very very important thing, is actually this is the variable name. So whenever you are putting something in input tag, anything inside this form, and you want that data to be sent to the server, so that the PHP file, which we'll discuss in later on, is going to process that variable and going to store that inside the database. So you have to give that variable name, and that variable name is going to be anything, whatever you want to go, A, B, C, D. Of course, it has to be unique, and all the inputs should not have the same thing. So here I have a simple input tag. It has nothing inside over there. It has simple box over there, and by default, when I'm going to save it, and I'm going to go back on my server over there. So, and I hover it over there. Now you can see over there a very small box has appeared. You can see I can write down something, and I can write down, I can write down endlessly over there. I guess there is some limit to it. I don't remember that limit over there, but you can easily type down inside it. Now, if you can type down inside it, you have to tell the user that, okay, what is this thing? For that purpose, you are going to use the label tag. Now, label tag is actually used over there. Let me just write down this label tag, and I will discuss this in the Visual Studio Code over there. So if I want to just write down the label tag, and the label tag actually means that you are actually going to use it for what label. So this label is going to be actually be pointing to this input. Labels are used actually for just like you labeling some boxes or some uh, boxes or some transparent something over there, just like in your kitchen you label some boxes, or if you are in some lab over there, you just label some components in the which you have some dissection of some boxes over there. So label forward again is an attribute over there, which is going to be the having the property inside, or the value actually inside it is going to be f name, and that f name is actually going to be your ID over there. So for F name over there, so this one would be something like this. And BR means because you are actually going to have that BR. If you don't put that BR, let's see what happens. So I will just show you now what is the output over there. Sorry, on this one. And now you can see first name and you. So if you are going to have this first name and like this something over there, and if you put a branch tag now, a line break, sorry, not a branch tag, sorry. So if you put a line break now, so this is going to be something. So you can see now after a first break, and you have now this input box is very, very small. And just at the end of this today's form, I will tell you that you can apply your CSS forms as well. I will tell you how you are actually going to apply your CSS, and you can make all of this text fields into something very big. So I'm just going to copy this something over here. Let's see, I have this one, and I'm just going to copy these two over there, let's say, and I have this one. So I have this input over there. Let me just add, okay, so first name, last name. So what I'm taking from here is this, that I have now two. So I have first name, last name. In fact, I have to add one line break here as well, because this is going to be over here. And now you can see over here I have a first name and last name. Now, since they are not inside any div block, they are not inside any flex box or something like that. So they are actually just like very, very small size. You can say the size is also very small, and you can write down anything, first name, last name. You can add even a middle name inside it. So that's totally up to you. You want to add a middle name, you can have a label over there for the middle name also. So, but remember one thing, whenever you're going to do it, please change the name of the variable, because the name of the variable and the name of the ID is actually going to be very something. The type will remain the same. Why? Because you are actually just inputting a simple type from the user over there. So this will be three attributes over there. Sorry, three inputs over there from the user. So first name, sorry, I have to change the text also. So this will be first name, middle name, and last name. So this will be now, if I'm now going to refresh it, you can see first name, middle name, last name, and you have all these three. I will just change the size at the very end of this today's part over there. So when you have done this one, this is actually something, everything has to come inside this forms over there, and this will be some, this is exactly how it's looking in my label. As I told you that it has to be, and it has to be the four attribute of this label tag should be equal to the ID attribute. Remember, it has to be equal to the ID attribute. ID is something very important, not the variable name. Remember, variable name is something that is going to be used in the PHP. We are going to talk about that later on. So this is going to be something like, so label is something very important. So label is actually attributing to or linking that your whatever text you have written over there with that input which you are inputting over there from the user. The next thing, radio button, as I have told you, supposedly you just want to input some radio button. So let me just add something over there. Let me just add it over there. In fact, let me just copy this all over there. That will be something important over there. So maybe just add a line break again here, there, and just so here I want to add over there, let's say, and let's see, add a paragraph. You can add any paragraph. Remember one thing, inside the form does not mean that you can't add any picture or images or something like that. Form actually only means that this portion of that website is going to be actually submitted using the variable names to the server. So here I'm just going to choose your favorite language. So just like you have over there. So here inside you can see over there, what is the first thing over there? You have an input over here, that is actually type is radio. Now radio means that it's actually just a simple dot over there. Let's do it before I can show you. The radio is going to be something like this. It's going to be a simple dot depending upon how your browser is. Here in my browser it's Safari, so it's going to give you that blue color tint over there. You can change the size of this one also, but I will determine the CSS over there. The next thing which you are actually having the ID. Of course, I told you ID is something very important since HTML is there. Name is equal to favorite language. Now, this is the variable name. Remember, this is the variable name. Name is equal to favorite underscore language, and value. Now, this is something very, very important. Why? Because the user is now going to select which radio button, either this, or either this. So when you're going to have three radio buttons, it's going to select either three of them, and it's going to have some value. Like supposedly someone is going to select this radio button of HTML, so value will be HTML. Next is supposedly type is radio again, ID is now here. Instead of that one, let's say I take it to C language, and here I call it as C language over there, let's say, because you're studying C at the very same time when this HTML is being told to you. And maybe the third thing, you can call it JavaScript as written over there. And you can see the label command is being used below now. Why below? Because I wanted that the radio button, the label comes after it. Previously, the first name was written before it because you want a user, but here you want to actually select it. And the label actually has something very good, because whenever you are going to click that label area, because it has been marked that it is for this one, so it will be directly linking to that radio button. What I mean by this, just see, just save this thing and go on our website. And now you can see, because already P is have been, so you have to choose your favorite language. And now you have three check boxes over there. No, they're not check boxes, the radio buttons. Actually, check boxes are a little bit big. Check boxes can be anything. Like supposing you are asking something, okay, what's your favorite color? Now you are not asking the user that, okay, give us just one color. Then he's going to actually tell you, okay, if you're going to talk about black, you're going to talk about red, maybe blue. So you're going to have three different colors, and they are like your favorite colors over there, one, two, three. But if you are asking the user that, okay, only I need one, then you are actually going to use this radio button. So either HTML, now you can click on this white circular area that is actually having some highlighted area, or you can click just this HTML. You can see I'm clicking on this label, and still it is working over there. So I can have this one working HTML, CSS, or JavaScript. So you can have anything over there, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, but only one will happen. And why that is so? Because you are having all of them having favorite underscore language name having the same variable. So you are going to select any one of them, and the variable will be having that value equal to C language, JavaScript, or HTML. So this is again, you are going to only have either one or more than one. Now, more than one is also possible, but that for that purpose, you need your JavaScript to function over there. In the next part, I will tell you that how you are going to. And remember one thing, whenever you are putting this coding over there, please try to do this indentation a lot, because this indentation makes your data visible to the everyone over there. So this is actually now the input radio button. The next radio button which I want to actually discuss now, after this the radio button which we just discussed now, which is going to have the type radio, is a checkbox. And I told you checkboxes let a user select zero or more options of a limited number of choices. And here I have over there a form with checkboxes, and this is how the HTML code above will be displayed in a browser. So this one will be, I have a bike, I have a car, I have a boat. So I'm asking the user that which of these three over there. Let's say I just want to have it just input over there. Let's like this one, instead of asking the favorite language and all that. And let's say I want to ask the very same thing, checkbox vehicle number one. In fact, let me just copy this same just to save some time. Maybe in the next class, I will bring you some file already made having some form, and that will be much better. I'm just copying something from the uh, remember one thing in Visual Studio Code, you can press tab and you can easily select into it indentation. Now here again, I'm going to have this paragraph added over there. So over here, and just let me add some line breaks over there. So what I have done is choose your choose whatever. Let me just change the text over there. So choose uh, what you own. So I have a bike, I have a car, I have a boat. Of course, we are in, since I am in Lahore over there, so certainly this means that I'm not going to have a boat over there unless I'm going to have a ride in some Ravi or some canal. Otherwise, I can have a bike, I have a boat. And here you can see the type is checkbox. ID is vehicle number one. Now here you can see ID 1, vehicle 2, vehicle 3. These three are different IDs because they are three different checkboxes, but the name is same. You can see the name is vehicle 1, vehicle 2, vehicle 3, and previously it was name same, name same, name same. Why? Because we wanted only one selection over there, either HTML, C language, or JavaScript. Here we want any of the three, all three, or maybe none of them. Then it's totally up to you. Then the value: bike, car, boat. So I'm not just going to select it now and go back over there on my form. And now you can see, choose what you are not, oh sorry, the grammatic mistake, what you own. So this is something what you own over there, and when you are going to have it again, so what you own. So I have a first name, middle name, last name. Choose your favorite language, choose what you own. I have a bike, I have a car, I have a boat over there. So we are having all these, sorry about this save. Let me have this. So you have this check boxes also added now. So remember one thing, the input tag remains the same. The type is now checkbox. Previously it was radio button or it was simple input. Over there type was text over there, you were taking input. So this is the third type of input. The final form, or actually the first preliminary thing, is the submit button, and that submit button is actually going to submit that page or whatever data you have made up till now, and that will make another. Let me just add a line break over there, and inside that line break you have input, type, submit, value, submit over there. So type is submit, it will automatically make a button. The value is actually the value or the name that is going to be displayed in that button, and that will be over there: input, type, submit, value, submit. And now when I'm going to go back to my server, so you can see a very small tiny mini button. Remember, don't worry on that one, it's very small because it's by default. You can align it with your CSS over there very easily, and you can make it something very big over there inside your CSS form. So I have this now, the submit button added, and inside its submit button, it will be having an action also. I will talk about this action, which means that whenever this form is going to be submitted, what action has to be taken. Now that action has to be added over there inside the form starting tag. So this means I have to have this attribute added from where my form started. So where my form started, I will click on this one. So action slash, of course, I hope so you have an idea now that when I'm putting this slash, this means that this file action underscore page dot php. PHP is the extension of that server file. Remember, PHP is a server side language. We will talk them in the, maybe in part number 9 over there. So in that part number 9, action underscore page dot php means that this file is going to be placed over there. This browser is going to send all these variables: f name, m name, l name, favorite underscore language, vehicle number 1, vehicle 2, vehicle 3. And when the user submits the submit button, it will be sent to the server and will be given that data to action underscore dot php. It's a totally different language. We will talk that not in much detail, but I will give you the idea how that PHP language is going to take this data, and we are going to display that data also in form of some table, and then we are going to insert it inside some database later on. So this is that form, and action means that whenever this is going to be submitted, it's actually an attribute added over there. Now if your PHP file is placed in some other folder, like supposing, let's say it's placed in some server or folder inside your server, then it's also possible. But here, if I'm going to have that action underscore page dot php file at the root location of my file, and remember, by root location I mean the htdocs folder. Since I'm on MacBook, my htdocs folder is inside my applications folder, inside my XAMPP folder. Inside my XAMPP folder I have htdocs. If you are on Windows, it will be inside C drive, inside htdocs folder, you are going to place everything. You can see all my files, whichever I have been teaching up till now, and all the parts is there inside the htdocs folder. And we are just making this index dash pair part 7.html. So this is my submit button. And as you have done this one, the next thing, very important thing is you are not going to emit, as I told you, name is not going to, if you are not going to have that name written, the input field will not be sent at all. So this is very something important. Now, before I proceed on further to something CSS forms over there, let me go on towards the HTML form attributes. Now, as I've already told you about the action attribute is going to submit that file, as I've already told you. Then there is a target attribute. The target attribute, just like if you remember your hyperlink or simple A tag that was actually going to open another website and you wanted to open it inside a blank page, you wanted to open inside itself the same page, you want to have this underscore parent in the parent frame, you want to have it inside the full body of the window, or you want to open it inside some other iframe which is inside it. Here I want to open it inside a blank fence. So this means the target attribute will be given a value. Remember one thing, the target attribute, again remember one thing, whenever you are putting attributes inside any tags over there, they are spaced by the spaces over there. So you have this one, and I have this one HTML form. So this is my form over there, and I have had it target is equal to underscore blank. So now what happens, let me just say, if I go back on over there, I refresh it, nothing changed because this is just an attribute added. Let's say I want to add some Arslan A, and my name is Arslan Rahim. Sorry, and I have selected over there, let's say I like HTML, I have a bike, I have a car, and I submit, click submit. Now when I click submit, there is nothing done, object not found. Why? Because I still don't have any file object underscore actions or action underscore PHP file over there. So that's why it's not going to take any data. In the next part, I will show you how that file is going to be created over there. So this action underscore page.php file is not there. But remember one thing, whenever I'm entering this data over there, it's opening a new file. You can see it's opening a new page. The previous one is already there. But nowadays, it's not normally a good practice that you open a new page. We already remain in that same page, because whenever you have been seeing this thing inside your Facebook, Instagram, whenever you're making an account or you're doing a login, you always are logging in the same browser tab over there. You never open a new parent window or nothing, a new blank window over there. Anyway, coming back to this one, after the target attribute over there, the method attribute. Now, this is something very, very important. Maybe it's not that going to be explainable at present because you are not accustomed to this HTTP thing over there. But the method means that how you are going to send that data from the browser to the server. Now, since you all know hacking and cybersecurity is something very, very important, if you want to do it in a secure fashion, you're asking some password from the user, you're asking some sensitive data, then the method has to be post. And if you are getting with something very simple over there, for example, let me just show you. If you are putting in, trying to open some Google page over there, let me just open some Google page. Now you see over there, what I have written over there, google.com/client Safari, whatever, iPhone dash or something. Now here I want to actually add like something, I just want to have HTML. So I just put HTML, and when I press enter over there, now what happens over there, when I press enter, this data was sent towards the Google server, and Google took this data because it was not sensitive data. So they use the get method for this purpose, and the method was get over there. Now at present, the get method is going to be something very easy, and the post method is not going to be used over there. I'm going to use the get method because we're not going to have some sensitive data. But just to give you an idea, whenever you are using the get, it appends the form data to the URL, which means that that URL, whatever you are submitting, it will be added inside that universal resource locator, which means that this Gmail page over there, whenever access now Gmail does not give that option. It's not giving me that option over there. Let me just use something else. Let me bing.com. Maybe bing.com still uses it. What I actually want to show you. Okay, now you can see. Now, what I did, I used bing.com, and in this bing.com, I used HTML. Now, when I pressed HTML, it wasn't very simple, nothing secure about it, and it's a Microsoft thing over there. So now if you click on this uniform sorry, universal resource locator. Inside you can see bing.com/search question mark q is equal to HTML. This is that variable. Q was that variable which was that name. Okay, that was your name over there. That is the variable name, and its value is equal to HTML, and form is equal to, that is again the same form that was at your bing.com website, and all these attributes are added over there, and some of them are not going to be addressable to us because they can be tag named according to that browser over there. But whenever you want to have some unsecured data which is not going to be, that you're going to have it. So this is appended inside your URL. So this is data being sent to your server through your URL, and that data is being used over there in names and value pairs. As you can see, the name and value pair here, you can see the name and value pair. Here, Q is equal to HTML, form is equal to QBLH. And all this data is being separated by this and a ampersand symbol. Again, I'm repeating, in get method, you are going to have after this, you can see search question mark. Question mark means that after this question mark variable, the variables and their values are going to be given. And one variable is Q, other variable is form. The Q is given a value HTML, form is given a variable, a value of QBLH. I don't know what is this QBLH, maybe something related to the programming. Whoever is at the bing.com, maybe knowing that what does it mean. Otherwise, you can see a lot amount of variables which I can't still define over there because I don't know the programming nomenclature at the back end. But these are all the variables after, and they are in name and value pair. So these are always appended in the form of URL, in form of your website. Never use get to send sensitive data. As I've already told you, just goes in. The length of the URL is limited. Of course, you can't send unlimited data inside URLs over there, so it has to be limited. So this is just like 2048 characters because you are sending data over here in the URL. You are asking the user or the server that this is something. This is useful for form submission where a user wants to bookmark the result. So you are just going to have some search page or something like that. Get is good. Get is good for non-secure data, likely query strings in Google. I don't know why it was not showing in Google over there, but of course in Bing or any of the search engine, this works very good. Now, post method is going to be, it's going to be submitted in some encrypted form. It's not going to be. So it appends the form data inside the body of the HTTP request. It does not send outer over there. So submitted form is not shown in the URL. So post has no size limitations and can be used to send large amounts of data. So if you're going to send some file or something like that, maybe an image or something, then you have to use the post method. At present, I'm not having any file or some data over there, which is not that sensitive. So I will go on with the get method. And this is that method is equal to get over there. So I'm just going to add this attribute over there. Method is equal to get over there. And the next thing, which is going to be the next attribute, this is again the form attributes which I'm adding over there, is the autocomplete. Now, autocomplete is the same thing of which you are going to be very, very annoyed also, because whenever you have a history open inside your browser and you have a form just we have used previously also, and you just click on that form, it loads everything from your history. So this is just something related to that. So this is autocomplete equal to on, and that is automatically going to submit whatever you are going to add on over there. So if you put it on, you can make it off as well. Supposing if you are on Facebook or something and you are having a public computer, maybe something cyber cafe or some lab or somewhere, and many users can actually, then it's better than you have an autocomplete off over there so that it does not take it from the history, because some next thing you are going to have that email address leaked over there or something like that. So it's not a good way to have that. But of course, if you are making a generic website for all the masses, for all the world, then of course, and you are going to use that on some personal computer, a laptop or a mobile, then it's going to be autocomplete on every time. So this is going to be autocomplete on. Then last thing, the form attribute, which we will discuss in detail in the next part with JavaScript. But before that, I'm not going to validate that data, which means no validate. It has no value. It's just simple word over there. It is that it's a Boolean attribute, which means no validate means it should not be validated when submitted. So it's not going to be validated when it's going to be submitted. So I'm just going to add over there this no validate. So this means it's not going to go and check some function in the JavaScript, which at present is empty. It has just simple other tags over there. Otherwise, I'm not going to have any validation over there. So these are all the form attributes, which I have just discussed now. The next thing, very importantly, is the form elements over there. Now, I will just go through that form elements just now. Now, the form elements over there, other than the input tag, we have discussed this, the input tag. I have discussed the label tag. Now, I will discuss this select and the text area tab in front of you. Now, input tag, we have already done it. The label tag, we have already done it. So nothing fancy. Selecting. Every time, whenever you are selecting something, supposedly you want a drop down list. So you are going to have, like, supposedly you want to add something, what car you drive over there. Let's say I want to have some inside it before the submit button. Of course, submit button is always going to be at the end over there. So choose what car you own. Supposedly I want to have it, what car you own. So supposedly if I'm in Pakistan at present, so we don't have a Volvo over here. So of course we have a Honda, we have a Toyota, we have a Suzuki. So here I'm just changing the data, and here it can be nowadays MG is quite famous over there. You can have a Kia as well. So there are many options you can add over there depending upon it. You can go on parkfields.com and maybe you can have the Kia, or you can even have the Hyundai over there. It's totally up to you. So you can have, now what I'm doing over there, every time I am actually adding a data or line over there, what is happening, the label is actually the same thing. For, again, ID cars, which means what car you own, and choose what car you own over here. And here inside you can add a line break over there, and here inside it over there, let me just, you can have the, remember one thing, you can also select all the data and use the tab on your keyboard, and this will automatically be tabbed one step forward. So this can be done also. Here, this is the select. The select one means that you are actually going to have a drop down box. You can select from all those options. Now, this is not a radio button or it's a checkbox button. It's a simple select over there. Again, ID, name is going to be always there. If it's an input thing or if something which your user is going to input, then you have to have that. If you're not going to give this name over there, remember that data is not going to be sent over there. So now you have the first option. Value, of course, option, you already are familiar with this thing, option. Value, of course, then I have to change it to Honda. I have to change it to, of course, the variable, because I have not changed it to according to Pakistan. We don't have that folded or Fiat or something like that in Pakistan. So you have the Suzuki, you have the MG over there. Let's see. Uh, Normally, whenever you are putting something as a value over there, you're always going to use some small letters over there. Reason, because that makes it easy on the server side, because you already know that all the data which is coming to you is going to be in the small letters. So this is actually, now if I open this one inside my browser again over there, let's see this thing. I want to reload it. Of course, I want to reload it. Choose what car you own. So I will now have the select box. You can see Honda, Toyota, Suzuki, MG, Kia, and Hyundai. And submit button is just beside it. I just want to give a little line break over there. Let's say I want to add some line breaks over there, and let's just add two line breaks over there, because I'm not using any CSS forms at present. So I will just add. Now you can see that choose what car you own, Honda, and submit. You have this checkbox, sorry, the select box over there. And this is actually called a drop down box over there. You can see the select element is used over there. The select, you have to select something from the options. And of course, you can only select one thing over there already. And if you want to select already, because normally in Pakistan everyone owns a Toyota, so you want that Toyota to be by default selected, because Toyota is the most car used in Pakistan. So you can use the selected attribute inside the option tag. So which I mean by this, that if I go over here and inside this Toyota, I put on, sorry, on this thing, this one, and inside it I just put it selected over there. And I hope so. Why it's green over there? I hope this should be working. It should be working. I guess it should be working. Let me just confirm it out. It, okay, so you can see now, choose what car you own. Toyota is already by default selected. If you don't put any selected attribute inside that option tag, so Toyota is already selected. If you don't, you're not going to miss this question, and you are not going to validate it through your JavaScript, then Toyota is already selected over there. So that Toyota is already selected. Now you want that you want to have visible values more than it, like supposedly you have like 5 or 10 different values and you want 2 3 different values, then size is actually going to tell you that how many values are going to be visible to you. So you can have uh, over here inside this one, in the attributes of the select tag over there. So you have something over here, choose what car you own, you have this thing. So you have size equal to 3. So this means now this time the select box is going to be a little larger. So you can see Honda, Toyota, and your scroll bar is there. Now this option is very good if you have like something 100 over there and you want the user to be actually seeing on that how that works over there. So this is going to be something very important. So then you can add the multiple selections, because of course in Pakistan, if you are a wealthy person, then of course you are going to have some multiple cars with you. So you can allow multiple. The word multiple is there, just like the previous form attributes over there. So you can have the multiple tag also added over there inside your select tag over there. So this is your, so you can have the multiple tags here. Next thing very important is the text area. If you want to add some text area, just like you want to write down something, you are asking secretary to just write down some review of any something, or maybe a blog area or something. So you can just add some text area. So let me just add this text area after this branch line break over there. Sorry about the caps lock. Uh, so I have this one. So name, message. Now rows and columns means that how many rows of text and how many columns of text you are allowing over there. You can even use the style attribute inside it, totally up to you over there. Remember, all these elements can have the style attribute, but at present I'm going to use that external item over there. So write down um about yourself. Let's say you want to have some data about yourself being asked over there, inside it over there, and you have this write down about yourself. So now when you are going to view this thing inside your web page, so you can see write down. Now remember one thing, everything is on the left side, CSS is not there, so it's a very difficult looking. And at the end I will just show you that with some like few lines of code you can even have all of this in very good shape. Now, so this is a text area. You can even add your style attribute inside it over there. You can make it 200 pixel or 600 pixel. You want to make it for the whole width of the page over there. You can totally do it over there. Please kindly do this one yourself and try to play with this thing. Next thing, very important, you want to add some button inside it over there. Let's say you have already used this button, but you can use this button inside the form element as well. You can use this one, and on that, for pressing that button, you can initiate some JavaScript or whatever stuff over there. So you can do this. We already do this one already, but this time the type is going to be button over there. Remember, so this is going to be button, and if you're going to click it, you can see it opens a alert box inside your browser, which you have to close every time, so you can change it. The next thing, very, very important, is the field set and the legend elements over there, which is something very, very important. Now, if you see this website over there, I'm asking the first name, middle name, last name. This is something personal data. This is your favorite language. This is your likes over there. This is your what you own over there. This is a little bit about yourself over there. So there are three different sections of your form. The first section is something personal. The second section is your likes. The third section is what you own. So this means over there, I can use this field set. Field set is actually used to group related data in a form. So I can have this field set over there. So let me just add this field set over there and the legend over there. So supposedly I have this first name, last name, something over there, and I want to add this one. So this is field set, and I want to add this field set for this thing over there. And inside this field set over there, and inside this field set I want to add a legend. Legend means just like you have a legend or a caption for a table or something. So it's going to actually tell me that okay, this is going to be the legend, and this is going to be, since I don't want to have Italian over there, I guess this is something. So this is personal information. So now what is going to happen, that this all this all which I have selected inside this field set is going to be now inside some box over there. Let me just show you how this happens over there. Now you can see it's going to be inside a box, and that is personal. You can see now first name. So some form of CSS is now coming. Okay, but this is not again the directly main basic CSS. This is actually just again tags being added. So this is personal. So you have the first name, middle name, last name over there, and inside it over there now you can add even this thing. Let's say I want to add this one. Let me just add it over there for this one. And for field set, it's there. And for like this, and let's say for over there, and okay, sorry, I've done it wrong. Field set, and this is going to be field set out of it. And here after the message over there, okay, sorry, on this part over there, up about without that, let's say I want to add inside this, write down about yourself over there. And here inside this legend, because every time you are going to put a legend over there, legend means that you are going to have your likes. So your likes. So this is going to be, so in your legend, here again, you can add a legend over there, what you own. Let's just say what you own. So this is something. Now, so now your website now is going to be a little better. Now you can see over there your likes, what you own. So you have now three sections over there. The submit button goes in the bottom over there. So now you have something very something arranged form over there. So you have the field set and the legend element. So it's something just related to your something. Next thing, very, very important is the data list element over there. The data list element means that sometimes you only want to have the input list equal to browsers over there. So this is going to add your data if you want to have a data list, and data list is something very, very long. Supposingly you have all the browsers, Edge, Firefox, Chrome, Opera, Safari, and all that. This can be done in the data list over there. We'll use this one later on over there. So this is the data list element which you can use over there. But again, this is only going to use for the input of the list over there, and you can have used that one for your ID or something like that over there. The last thing very much important is the output element, because you have the input element, you can also output something from your JavaScript over there, because JavaScript can not just only change some data inside your HTML DOM over there. It's actually the document over there. It can also output something. Now this is something very good over there. This is actually an output form, and you can see over there inside this I have a small bar, and this bar actually changes on over there. And you can see when I'm using this bar, the addition is being done in some constant value, that is 50 over there, and you have the sum over there, and you can submit this form as well. So this is actually happening over there. We'll discuss this when I'm talking about the JavaScript in the next class over there, or the next part actually. So this is the HTML form over there. So I have just discussed this three over there. I will discuss this output and the data list in the next part in detail, because it's related to the JavaScript over there. Now, before I complete this part, I'll just go towards the CSS forms over there. This is the CSS I want to apply. Now, I want that my back page is something like this, where first name is like this, and I can write down something over there. I can write down, you can see some padding over there as well here, and I'm writing down, there is no padding over there. The text size is also very small over there. So what I'm going to do it, you have to style the input form fields. And here, some commonly used in input fields are width, of course. You already can use the width, padding, margin, border radius, background color, font size, everything is exactly the same. One thing very important, you want to have all the inputs equal to 100%, which means all the inputs are taking the whole width of the page. Just add this file inside your HTML CSS file. Here in my case, the HTML CSS file, let me just add, is the part3.css. Not just for now case, in our case, because I don't want to spoil the previous one. I'm adding a part 7. And where is part3.css? I'm just going to copy this thing. Let's say I want to have a part7.css, and inside part 7, let me just copy everything from this thing, and I just place this one over there, save it. And here, just below the heading or something like that, let's say I want to add this input over there. So let me just add this input. So if I just copy this thing over there, sorry, on this one, input, and I put it over there, input. So now every input, remember, every input is now going to be 100%. And very simply, we just click on this one. Now you can see everything. First name gone to 100%. Middle name gone to 100% of full width. Last name also gone. HTML, CSS, JavaScript. I have a bike. I have a every input has gone except this select, because this is a select box. Remember, this is a select box and this is a text area. So they have not gone. For that purpose, you have to write down the whole tag again. But again, this is one thing. Now, if you want to do something selective, like means you want to have only the type is equal to text thing, which means you want to only select the type area. Then for that purpose, you can have the input padding. Let's say you want to have, previously it was just input. Now, if you add with this rectangular brackets over there, type is equal to text, and here you just add now this thing. Now I'm just going to change this thing, and here I was just want to add this one. So input is now type is equal to text. So wherever there is text, width is going to be 100%, padding is equal to this thing. And let's say I want to change the font to let's say the font size to, let's say, maybe like something 30 px, let's say. And I want to have the color change to, let's say I want to add something green color over there. So let's say I have added this thing. So now when it's going to be loaded, so now you can see your text area has gone to green color and it's very much big over there. And when it is something like this over there, you can even have the background color also change. So if you want to change to, let's say I want to change this background color to azure, let's say. And now if I just refresh it over there, so now you can write down anything. So you can see now you are actually, but remember one thing, only the input areas are changing. You're not changing the labels over there. So for that purpose, if you want to change the labels also, you can even have the border added over there. You can have the border added on that input box over there. So I can just, let's say I want to add this border area on my box over there. Let's say inside it, let's say I want to add a border area. Green would be a little harsh on this thing. Sorry, red will be harsh. So I will just take the green color because I'm putting input in green. So I need to have something in green. So let's say I have this thing. So now you can see now everything is in green. And whenever I'm selecting it over there, it's writing down in green over there. So this is the first form of input over there. You can add a border, you can add a border underscore bottom, you eat anything. You can add all the styling attributes. You can change the background color. You can change the color just like I've done over there. You can even change it just like your hover command. You can even change it to something like, supposedly you can see over there with the focus thing. The focus thing actually changes, and just like your hover, when you were moving your mouse on that button, it was changing over there the color of that button or the text over there. Here you can change it over there, the input over there. So if you can just click it, you can see the background color changes. So this one changes over there. If I move mouse away, it change. And here you can see the border changes. So you can use that colon focus. Here focus is there because you are actually focusing on that input field over there. I will use this one in the next class when I have the whole icon over there. So this is a CSS forms. You can do it over there. I will go through this one later on. I will open this style box over there in your next class over there. Please kindly now try to go through this thing, whatever we have done just now in this part. I just want to keep this part a small one. And the next class, in the very start, I will open this one part. And you can see now when I'm scrolling this one, HTML course is sticky to the open corner, the left corner of my page. And now you have it over there. We will, next part, we will style this submit button as well. Here at present, when I'm going to click the submit, it's going to open a new page because of the action underscore page.php file not available. So here, this is my web page for my part 7 over there. I hope you have enjoyed till now and you have learned something from this thing. So this is HTML form, and HTML form attributes or HTML form elements over there. The next thing, we are going to talk about the HTML input types. There are more different types over there. We will talk about in detail the button, checkbox, or the radio button. We have already done it, but it can be a file, it can be an email, it can be a date, time, it can be a number, it can be a password or something like that. So there are many options available. In the next part, we are going to discuss it, but mostly in the next part, we are going to talk about how you're going to validate it inside your JavaScript and how you are going to have the input attributes or some other form attributes you are going to add over there. So I hope this was learning for you, and thank you.